Insurance agents from around the world, welcome to the Insurance Guys podcast, hosted by yours truly, Scott Howell, and the incomparable Bradley Flowers. For agents, by agents, we're here to share real-life experiences, tips, and insights related to all aspects of both being an insurance agent and running a successful agency. So sit back, turn up the volume, and let's get down to business. Insurance agents from around the world, welcome to the Insurance Guys podcast. I am your fearless host and leader, Mr. Scott Howell with I Protect Insurance and Financial Services, based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And before we get started on today's podcast, please help me welcome. He is a 6'3" sophomore from Saraland, Alabama. First team All-American, Parade All-American, Rivals 5-star recruit. He is a fantastic insurance agent and a great American. Please help me welcome the incomparable Mr. Bradley Flowers. How are you, Bradley?
I'm great, Scott. How are you today?
Man, I am super-tastic, and I am fired up about this episode. Guys, not very often we get people back on the podcast. If you want to roll back the clock before you listen to this, Bradley, I think you guys will probably want to listen to episode number 23 of the Insurance Guys podcast. Before you listen to this episode, this guest, I was thinking outside before I came in. I said, I'm sorry, episode 22, excuse me. Before we came on the air, I was thinking outside. You know, I actually do, although we haven't gotten in the boat with each other and really spent a lot of time together getting to know each other on a personal level, I consider this guy a friend of mine.
Me too. We email a lot.
Yeah, I don't get to talk to Mike nearly as much as you do, but I will say that I do consider him a friend. So today, guys, on the podcast, we have got not only a speaker, a noted author who has written 6 books. He is an agency owner, president, and team leader of Stromsoe Insurance Agency. They're licensed in 29 states. They're located in Marietta, California. He has just returned from Paris, if I'm not mistaken. He has got a boot camp that is called the Be Unstoppable Bootcamp for insurance agents on November the 8th, November the 9th, November the 10th. In San Diego, California, and I'm about to surprise and shock the shit out of him. I just signed up for it an hour ago. I got an email. I got an email from Andrea Wyatt asking me for t-shirt sizes. And Bradley Flowers goes, "Hey man, where are you gonna stay when you go out there?" I said, "Shit, I'm a VIP. I'll stay at Mike's house." Guys, before we
That's 44 days, 6 hours, and 44 minutes, because I'm looking at his website right now.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the incomparable Mr. Mike Stromsoe. How are you, Mike?
Unbelievable. Gentlemen, how are you?
Man, we're doing fantastic, and I want to say thank you again for being on the podcast. I said it off the air. I'm going to say it on the air I'm going to try not to cry. But I appreciate you being on here more than you know. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to Bradley. It should mean a lot to the 250,000 insurance agents that are listening to this, because you are a thought leader in the world of the independent insurance world. You are somebody that has not only achieved a lot of goals yourself, but you are somebody who on a day-to-day basis works extremely hard to help other people with having zero expectation of anything in return. And I can't tell you how much it means to me for you to be on here.
Well, I'm honored to be here, and I'm grateful that you think enough to even have me back. So thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. Now let's jump right into this, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about the Be Unstoppable Bootcamp. If you go this year and you want a picture with the Insurance Guys podcast team, feel free to come up, and I'll be happy to give you a selfie this year. But I know I'm going to be there. Bradley is more than likely going to be there. I did sign up to bring a team member with me. So talk a little bit about Be Unstoppable, and let's get these insurance agents at least thinking about going to the boot camp this year.
Well, I'm getting the evil eye from the squirrel that sits on my desk, and the squirrel's name is SOS. Yes, that's right. So he's saying, stay on track, because we have 3 things that we want to share with people today. So we'll talk a little bit about the boot camp. The bottom line is this. There's nothing more important in the world than giving back to other people, because the law of reciprocity is always in effect. Oh, yeah, I wanted to circle on one thing before I get into what I'm going to say. By the way, we have an interview process for anybody that stays at the house. My life teammate, Cindy is her name, interviews people before you even get to the doorstep. So I'll be happy to set you up with an interview with her if you want to see if you qualify. I'm just joking.
That sounds amazing.
Is he going to have to send an email with a very specific subject line in the email?
Right. Well, you have to play to her tune, not mine.
I love it.
So, anyway, because we just had one of our platinum.
Mike, don't let him stay at your house, man. You don't want to stay at your house.
See, I knew that was about to happen. So, Mike, I got to tell you, okay, full transparency here. I go up with Bradley to go see Chris Paradiso in Stratford Springs, Connecticut, and there was a time when Bradley, we shared a hotel room to cut down on expenses, so we had 2 double beds. Bradley's on the phone with his wife when I come out of the bathroom completely naked and walk by him in the room, and I think he's still in therapy over that.
I went blind just a little bit.
Well, I mean, anyway, at the end of the day, that's the way we were born, right? So, I mean, what gives?
Absolutely. But anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for us to get off on a tangent there. Let's talk a little bit about Be Unstoppable.
But what I have to share with you is this. So one of our platinum coaching members who's just at the house over the weekend, and at the end of the day, it is a cool domain. But San Diego, California, the site of Be Unstoppable Bootcamp. That's BeUnstoppableBootcamp.com, by the way. It is. We have it in San Diego for a lot of different reasons, but the biggest reason is people love coming into San Diego. It's a wonderful city. There is so much to do. The weather is top notch, and we've traveled the world. My wife Cindy and I, and some of our family. Every time we come home, we get off the airplane in San Diego. It never sucks. So it's a great place to be. We intentionally and strategically have it on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the Be Unstoppable Bootcamp, so that people can, stay the weekend if they want. And a lot of people, and I've learned this in my own training over the last almost 32 years in this industry and almost 40 years in business, that I like to stay at least a day after a significant event so that I can digest what I just learned, and I can put together a written, documented game plan so that I can go forward with what I just invested time in. Exactly. And so we have found that San Diego is a wonderful place to digest. So stay Sunday and Monday. If you want to bring a family member along, remember it's a business investment trip anyway. So it's a win-win-win. And that's part of the reason we ended up in San Diego. Secondly, we don't have to get on an airplane. And when we don't have to get on an airplane, we can create an even better event. So, a lot of people say, well, how did this all come about? Again, blessed and fortunate to be in this industry for almost 32 years. And through the 2000s, we started having, I guess in the eyes of many, some success. And a lot of people were coming to me and said, hey, I noticed you're doing this and I noticed you're doing that. How did you do that? I said, well, it's easy. You just do this, this, and this. And they go, well, can you teach us? And I thought, wow, I never really thought about it. And I said, let me think about it and get back to me in a week or two. So they kept coming back at me. I mean, people were relentless. And so, I didn't want to let them down because that's just who I am. And so I started, dabbling here and there. I was doing some one-on-one and all this kind of stuff and just helping people. And it got to be so many that were, in pursuit. It just came to the point where I said, I really got to stop and think about how I'm going to do this, because we only have 24/7, 365, right? Everybody has the same 24 hours a day, and that's a key point in life, right? It's what we do with those 24 hours that can make the greatest impact and change the most lives. So I had to be cognizant of that. So 2011, 2012, Andrea Wyatt, our director, our program director for UPP, Unstoppable Profit Producer Program, and I decided that we're going to start doing these live events. And so we started up in an area in Orange County, California, because it was near an airport, and we started doing live events. We were doing 4 a year. And so, not that we're adverse to work, because we like to work hard, and we do work hard, but it was a lot. And so after a couple of years of doing, 4 a year, and they started growing, we decided that we were going to do something more significant. And so we have designed the program to help as many people as we can in the way that they want to be helped. So in 2014 was our last event in Orange County, California. And 2015, we decided to move it to San Diego because of everything that I just talked about. And that's when it really started getting to be a lot of fun. So 15, 16, 17, and now 18, it'll be our 4th year with our event in San Diego. There's hundreds of insurance agents at our event, but it seems to be that the people that attend our events are of a different breed, if you will. And what I mean by that is they're, in my mind, they're the progressive and maybe the more aggressive agency entrepreneurs out there. They want to become more. They want to have more. And like my greatest mentor, Mr. Jim Rohn, taught me, if you want to have more, you have to become more, because you attract exactly what you are and who you've become. So I just got an email yesterday, and he gave me permission to share it, and I'm going to see if I can pull this thing up without sidetracking us on our conversation.
And guys, while he's pulling that email up, let me say this. So the boot camp that we're talking about that Mike puts on out there, and I'll let him go through who some of the guests will be there to talk and speak to everybody. The dates for that are November the 8th, November the 9th, and November the 10th. So that is a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And as Mike mentioned, if you do decide to go out there, because it's business-oriented, it would be a tax deduction, but also with it wrapping up on Saturday, you could stay Saturday and Sunday and enjoy San Diego after you get through with the boot camp. Mike, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
So, yeah, absolutely.
And I understand, Mike, you've got Jeff and Una Roy. Jeff was episode 25 of the Insurance Guys podcast, if you have not listened to that episode.
Yeah.
I just want to say publicly that I'm so glad that Jeff Roy is not 21 years old, because
Amen.
I feel like if he was 21 years old, people would be like, "Oh, he's just a young kid." That's why he's but because he is in the demographic that he's in, people listen. Don't you agree, Mike?
Oh, I totally agree. But what I'm going to share with you in just a minute, I found the email and I'm looking at it, and I'll get to that in a second. One of the things that I do right off the get-go at our boot camps and any place that I get the opportunity to share with other people, other agents, etc., is we don't have any magic pills. We don't have any silver bullets. You've got to put in the work. And I don't know if you are a fan of Malcolm Gladwell, if you've ever heard of him, but Malcolm Gladwell was one of my early favorite reads. And he wrote a book called The Tipping Point. The tipping point is 17% of any marketplace. Once you get to 17%, it's going to start going downhill in your favor almost automatically, but you got to do the work first. Malcolm Gladwell also wrote a book called Outliers. There's something in the book Outliers that's called the 10,000-hour rule. And we talk about that in our mastermind sessions with the agents we work with and that kind of stuff. The 10,000-hour, you got to put in the time, and I'll share with you the email in just a second. So Jeff and Una have put in the time, and Jeff and Una and I are pretty close, and we hang in a lot of the same venues and that kind of stuff. But the other thing that we try to do at the Be Unstoppable Bootcamps is we try to bring in people that will make a significant impact for the people that attend. Okay, so we've never been honored enough to have Jeff and Una on the stage at our boot camp, so it made natural sense because I've been after them, and they're so busy and in high demand, I've never been able to get them there. But this year, we were able to get them there. So they're going to be there. But there's another guy who's outside of our industry, and I always try to bring in somebody from outside of our industry because they've got a different view on things. Because at the end of the day, business principles are business principles. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
So, they're bringing business principles. I mean, we've had Joe Theismann, Rudy Rudiger, James Malinchak, Kevin Harrington, one of the original sharks on Shark Tank, and John O'Leary, and so many more that have brought this different view on things that helps people really engage and understand. Okay, so our other, one of our bigger name speakers, if you will, is a guy by the name of Alex Sheen. Okay, Alex Sheen founded a nonprofit called Because I Said I Would. Okay, and the foundation of Because I Said I Would is it's all about a promise and a commitment. Now, if you're an insurance agency entrepreneur, if you're an entrepreneur, period, listening to this podcast, I want you to think about it like this. Okay? Why are you doing what you do? Because when your why becomes big enough, your how becomes easy. We're doing what we do for a lot of different reasons because, first of all, it fulfills us. But second of all, we have obligations. And we've made a promise to somebody, our spouse, our family, et cetera, right? So we've got to fulfill that commitment. Now, if you're in the insurance agency business or independent insurance agency business, you've also made a promise and a commitment to who? Want to guess?
Your clients.
Your clients. And in our world, in our team meetings, which, by the way, this morning we just had our Wheel of Fortune meeting, we have made a promise and a commitment to our clients, our future clients, and our communities is what we say in our promise, a.k.a. mission statement, but we never call anything normally because the greatest marketing 10,000-foot level message that I've ever learned in my life is look at what everybody else is doing and do the exact opposite. Hence, I send you mail that's got a handwritten address that says Bradley Flowers only in capital letters, and it's got personal in a different color. But did it get right to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you acted upon it. Isn't that interesting?
Tell everybody. Have you already told it? I know you told it at the very end of the last episode, right?
Yeah. So he has these pamphlets he sends out regarding the mastermind, and if you're not. Or the boot camp. If you're not familiar with Mike is, and I'm a person that studies marketers, Mike is the best direct mailer I've ever come across. And so not only is it a little pamphlet that talks about the boot camp, but when you open it up, 2 tickets fall out.
Wow.
And so he had written Bradley Flowers only in big bold Sharpie, only was underlined, and then crooked to the side, kind of catty corner, personal was written in red. And it just my CSR walks in the office confused, and she's like, hey, this looks really important, which is exactly what Mike wanted her to do,
right?
And I'm just sitting there smiling like it's got to be Mike Stromsoe.
Absolutely.
And so also I ordered a copy of his book, and it came with this little red square plastic thing. And what does it say on the front, Mike? It says something like the only person that can stop you is, and then you open it up and it's a mirror.
Well, here's the bottom line, and I was sharing that with the wife of the platinum member who was at my house over the weekend because she had never seen. I asked her, "Hey, Mary, have you ever seen?"
I hope they cleaned my room before they left. But go ahead.
Well, my bride. That's why she pre-qualifies people. She said,
understand.
"Well, that Bradley and Scott, you should have seen the place after they left." But anyway. I will take note of that. I said, yes, sir. So anyway, so I asked Mary, I said, have you ever seen a mirror of truth anyway? Because that's what we call it affectionately, a mirror of truth. And where did I learn about how to create a mirror of truth? Outside of our industry with one of my marketing colleagues in our local communities. We were brainstorming one day on how to become more. Interesting point, right? So her name is Dion, and we're hobnobbing and brainstorming, and we were talking about the fact that, ultimately at the end of the day, everything's our responsibility. My response is my responsibility.
Absolutely.
Think about that for a minute. If you want to make an excuse, go ahead. But an excuse is like any body part that you want to select. Everybody's got one, and they all have an odor to them. And so we said, yeah, you're right. So there's only one person that stands between you and success. Yeah. She goes, my friend Dion goes, hey, you know what we should do? We should put that on the front. We should put a mirror inside. I said, bingo, Dion. And I have been on airplanes and the whole 9 yards, and I've shared this with people. I've got a video from a guy in an airplane. We were pit stopping in Dallas on the way home, and the guy goes, he was watching me work. I was just coming home from a conference from Florida, and so I'm working. About a half hour from Dallas, he goes, I just got to ask, what do you do? I've been watching you and all this kind of stuff, and of course I told him. And I go, I got a takeaway for you. I gave him a mirror of truth, and he looks at it and he goes, that's the best marketing piece I've ever seen. So I got on my knees when we landed, and I'm on Southwest in the 2-seat, right? There's only 2 seats, and you can have the other fold-out table. And I said, would you mind if I shared that with other people? Takeaway, pause. Credibility is everything in today's world. No one cares what you say you've done for other people. It's what other people say you've already done for them.
Bingo.
Critical. You have to be continuing to collect credibility testimonials all the time. So I said, hey, Chris, would you mind if I share what you just said with other people? He goes, yeah, no problem. He goes, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to get on my knee right here when we land, and I'm going to hold my camera, and I want you to hold the mirror up, and I want you to say what you just said. So I have the video now. Because the bottom line is that moment will never, ever come back again. He was on what we call an emotional high, and we made it an emotional bank deposit. Critical. Okay. Anyway, the mirror of truth says there's only one person that stands between you and success, and you open it, and it's the mirror of truth. And I encourage my team. You have teammates. Do your teammates ever have a bad day?
Absolutely.
Do they ever get somebody on the phone who's griping and complaining and maybe even raising their voice at them?
Absolutely.
So everybody on our team has a mirror of truth, and I said, I'll just pick a name, Susie. One of my teammates, let's say it's Susie. I said, Susie, so you just have this situation with the client and so forth and so on. Are you good in the mirror of truth? And Susie will say, yeah, I'm good. I said, so you're doing unto others, which is part of our core value, and you're following our promise that we've made to everybody. Yes, I'm good. Then you got nothing to worry about.
Right.
That's the encouragement for my team. That's the encouragement for my team and how I've used that. So back to the Be Unstoppable Bootcamp. What we do, what I've been rambling about for the last 20 minutes, you get 3 days of this. And it's all designed to apply to the business principle world with specificity to the independent insurance agency world. Because we've been there, we've done that, but bigger than that, and this is the key, we are still doing it. So we've got real-world stuff, the most recent stuff. We haven't even designed the final content yet. You know why? Because we want it to be so fresh, the pungency of the room just permeates everything.
I love it.
Okay.
So, Mike, before we move on, I have got to ask a question. And you brought this up a few minutes ago, and then you went off in a different direction. What is the Wheel of Fortune meeting?
Oh, boy. And we had back and forth about this, and we had danced with the possibility of actually being in the Wheel of Fortune when we started this podcast, but we didn't get to it. So it is probably the most motivational event of the month for our agency team. And everybody in the agency team has specific activities that they're asked to do on a daily basis, like cross-sell, upsell, update the file, make sure their email address is correct, tell other people about the referral program, send referrals to the sales team, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so they all have a sheet, and if they perform a certain number of activities throughout the month, they get to check off some boxes, and they get to step up to the Wheel of Fortune and win cash, gift cards. We have a bonus item every month, which is based on the theme of it being a certain month of the year. Like this month's bonus was a $50 grocery gift card because the theme is Labor Day. Every month has something that can be themed. As in one year in February, because it's Valentine's Day, I brought in a dozen roses as the bonus prize. Now, not everybody automatically wins the bonus prize just by conducting activities. I've got this matrix that we completely share with everybody, and you'll probably hear a little bit about it at the boot camp, that, it just follows the matrix. So it's half the, it's a 24 number wheel, and they just spin it and lands on a number, and you look at the matrix and it goes to a certain box, and whatever's in the box, you get that. They love it. It is the number one high for our team as a team, and we do it every single month.
So how many team members do you have, Mike? How many would participate in the Wheel of Fortune?
Today we're a little light because our sales director is flying to the Great American Beer Fest because that's one of our niches. She's going to be there live. She identified that is the number one place to meet the decision makers. Right. I said, go. We've got other people that were so busy closing deals. We had another one that's doing something else, and we got another one that's on vacation. So today we were light, but normally 12 to 13 people.
Okay.
It's a buzz, without a question.
Absolutely. So, guys, here's what I want to do now. We ended our last podcast, episode number 22 or 23. I thought it was 23, but I believe it's 22. I had to cut you short that day. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back through your timeline and basically tell you what you've told me that you do every day. I am wildly interested in continuing this conversation because I want to learn more about how I can get better with my time management, how I can do a better job of utilizing and capitalizing on those 24 hours that we all have in a day, right? So here we go.
Yep. Can I stop you for a second?
Go ahead.
Okay, so let me read this email, and we'll finish up, and we will get into how the finishing up, starting of my day, and if you want to write something down, it's called time blocking, and I will elaborate on that. So, okay. I got this email yesterday from one of our Platinum members who started coming in 2014. His first boot camp was 2014, and he came up to me at the first break of his first boot camp, and he said, Mike, where have you been all my life? I said, I've been right here. He goes, I can't believe what I just experienced this morning. It was, I can't even put it into words. What do you think I did based on what we've already talked about this morning? Anybody?
Asked him if he would be willing to say that out loud again.
Yes, sir. Exactly right. I said, may I reposition a little bit?
Right.
Okay. I said, Bill, thank you. First of all, it all starts with gratitude and give. So I said, Bill, thank you so much for saying that. And I'm really grateful that you're here. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you. What you just said could be so encouraging to other people. Would you mind sharing that again real quick, like on a video? And he goes, yeah, no problem. So I pulled my phone out of my pocket, and I have the recording. So now, one other encouragement for people in the marketing world, because ultimately we're just marketers who happen to operate in the independent insurance agency industry. Would you agree?
You just described myself. That's how I describe myself to people.
Yeah. I mean, when people say, what do you do? I've got two answers depending on how I'm reading them, right? Yeah. I say, I'm a marketer who just happens to operate in the independent insurance agency world. Or if I'm driving towards insurance, I said, well, first of all, I love what I do, and I protect people in everything they work so hard for. Now, think about what I just said. I love what I do. Isn't that who people want to do business with?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I want to do business with somebody who loves what they do, not that hates coming to work every day.
Right.
And I protect people. So I've positioned it differently than anybody else ever would, and I've engaged them. It's a conversation starter.
Right.
Okay? So back to our friend who joined our programs and invested in becoming more. I got this email yesterday, and I asked him if I could have permission to share it in certain forums, and I wouldn't, drop name and stuff. And he said, you do whatever you need to do. He said, my heart is full, and I want to share this success with you. 4 years of pushing the flywheel, sometimes with my full weight, not sure if it's working or worth it. As I write this email, I have a 7-month employee training my 2-day team member on the importance of the 180-day welcome kit and the psychology of making sure our mail gets open and how she thinks it's cool. These past 2 days has shown me that it indeed is all worth it, all in all caps. I'm so grateful to have a coach, mentor, and friend blazing a trail for me to follow, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why we do what we do. That's why we invest in the time and doing the boot camps and doing the trainings and all that. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. He's put in the 10,000 hours, and now his life is beginning to change, and that's cool stuff. Back to the time and how we start our day.
Well, no, before we get to that, I want to say this. So you got another email. I don't know if it's from the same person or somebody else, but this person sent you an email, and they said, this reminded me so much of Mike Stromsoe. And I'm going to read it. I'm going to read the meme that they sent you. It says, give, give, give. What is the point of having experience, knowledge, or talent if I don't give it away? Of having stories if I don't tell them to others? Of having wealth if I don't share it? And I think that segues nicely into what you were just saying that the gentleman had sent you an email about last week. I think that is the genesis, the antithesis of why Bradley and I created this podcast was that exact thing, is that we wanted to, for me personally, I'm talking Scott Howell now. I don't know that I've ever shared this with Bradley or not, but I think the purpose of this podcast was always that I felt like I had a hard time getting other insurance agents to share information or to talk about their success or their failures. Seemed like older agents especially didn't really want to do that, and I just wanted to be different, and I know Bradley wanted to be different. So kudos to you for being different. I love that meme that person shared, and I do believe in my heart that does describe you. I really do.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, but it is what it's all about, and like we were discussing, I think, before we got started this morning, when any of my teammates are stuck, and they might come in and say, hey, I'm stuck on this. Can you help me think through it? I say, well, if you don't know where to start, just start by giving. You want to earn more credibility. You want to earn reviews. You want to earn testimonials. You want to earn video testimonials. You want to earn a written letter, testimonial letter, anything like that. Well, just start by giving somebody else one or two or three. LinkedIn reviews,
you want $1 million, help $1 million people.
There you go.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
anyway, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So let's go back to your timeline. I'm wildly interested in this. I'll be honest, most people that I talk to that have been on the podcast that are successful in the insurance business, they may not have your exact daily routine, morning routine, if you will, but they all seem to start early. They seem to start early and get going early. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to the timeline that you gave us last time. I've done this pretty much verbatim of what you said. 5:51, we go out and we ride our bike for about 45 minutes. We come in, we've already got the coffee set up to brew, and we have about 10 minutes of quiet time. We get our coffee, we get our shake. At some point right about that time, we go out and we put a handwritten note of gratitude on our wife's car, on her windshield. And then we come back in, we grab our shake and our coffee, we go up to our home office. Now we're at about 7 a.m., 6:45, somewhere in that range, and we look at our goals. We talked about creating goals as being the number one thing that we need to do, and you're going up to your home office in the morning and you're looking over those goals, the 5 goal sheets that you have, and we're looking over those goals and probably, I guess, reviewing as to where we are. As you said that day, 24 hours, things can change. So maybe your goals have changed. That's where we had to end last time. So we only got to about 7 a.m. in the morning before we had to get off the podcast. Yeah. So I wanted to start there.
And I'll say this, too, for the listeners that have not listened to Mike's first episode. I am not a note taker. We batch record these. We do about 5 or 6 in one day. A lot of times it's so much information I can't take as many notes as I would, even despite the fact that I'm not a note taker. I took more notes during Mike's first episode than any other guest we've had on.
I agree. I do too. But yeah, so we're at about 7 a.m., somewhere in that range. Mike, go ahead and tell us from there. We're up in our home office. We're reviewing our goals. You take it from there and tell us about the rest of your morning.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. I've got a load of information. I've been making notes myself to share. I do want to add one other small tidbit about the Be Unstoppable Bootcamp.
Go ahead.
BeUnstoppableBootcamp.com.
Right.
Because I got sidetracked at the end of the day on Saturday after we would go into the beautiful San Diego weather. What you walk away with is a documented game plan that you've been writing in a book over 3 days, and we strategically design it so it benefits you and your insurance agency business. Okay, You walk away with a written game plan, about 100 and some odd pages, that's yours. That's yours and yours only, and you get to go launch it on the world. That will be and we strategically do it at the end of the year, so you've got all of November and all of December to get your game on, and you wake up at the beginning of the year, if not before, and you're running faster than anybody else while they're trying to figure out what the flip is going to happen in the coming year.
Right.
That's what we want for you and everybody that comes, okay? So the other thing that I have for you, and you're just talking about this, I've got a visual, and I don't know what phone numbers I have for you. I was going to text it to you, but forget about it. It's not important. It says, believe. I was encouraging one of our Platinum coaching members this morning on an emergency call because he's having his first big event tomorrow in his niche market. And we've been working with him, and I wanted to give him a shot in the arm before he launches himself on this crowd of people, and he's going to kill it. He's going to be awesome. I said, listen, just believe in yourself and be you. That's what people want, and that's what people connect with. We talked about authenticity. We talked about nobody else can bring your passion like you can, okay? If you want to write something down, I'm going to go off track, and I'm going to get right back to the subject matter. You ready?
Go ahead.
I also encouraged him to use the 5 trigger words in the marketing world, and they are as follows. You, because it's all about them and never about you. The second one is you guarantee. Everybody loves a guarantee. Free, Who doesn't like free? You guarantee free new. Everybody likes something new. And the fifth one is sex, which can be controversial, so you have to be careful how you use it. You guarantee free new sex. Pepper your words in your conversations in your written copy, because I went through a copywriting guild years ago to learn how to be a better written communicator, and they will react more to you. All about them, never about you. And so I said just pepper those. And the other phrase that will pay for him, if he can weave it into his talk, and he's bringing in other people to speak again tomorrow night in mid-America, I said, learn how to say what this means for you is. And those are the words. What this means for you is. Bradley, I'm glad we got together. I'm glad we identified the fact that you've only got 50, 100,000 on your auto limits, on your auto insurance policy. That is not sufficient in today's world. So I'm glad that we got you up to 250, 500. We've got another million on stacked on top of this. Bradley, what this means for you is you're going to be able to sleep better at night. Bradley, what this means for you is you're going to be able to have security as you go through your daily, knowing your family's taken care of if that day happens. And what this means for you is you're not going to have to worry at all about your insurance protection. You're not going to have to second-guess anything. We are here for you as things continue to change.
Mike, thanks so much for doing that.
You're welcome.
I love it. I love it.
Let's get back to time.
Yeah, absolutely. So
we're at 7 a.m.
Let's talk a little bit about your time from about 7 a.m. until lunch. What does your day look like?
So I've also learned that my time is my time, and I'm in complete control of it. You heard me say earlier that my response is my responsibility. So what I do with my time is my responsibility and nobody else's, and if I choose to waste it, that's my fault. Okay, so I do not waste time. I'm looking at my planner. I have a written planner. I don't know, I buy it on Amazon. It's an at-a-glance planner. I buy it 1 year at a time, and I am laser-focused on what I'm going to do every single day. I write it the night before, okay? So I go through my daily routine that you already described, and I'm up until 7 o'clock when I am heading into my hour of power. I call it my hour of power. It is my best, most productive hour of the day, okay? Now, to make sure I'm clear on what I'm going to do into that hour of power before I open that dreaded time waster called Outlook, before I open the agency management system or even my bank accounts, I make sure that I pull up my goals. I just pulled up my goals to share with all of you, the topics at least, and to drop another nugget on you, one of my greatest mentors in the world so far has been a guy named, I've got a lot of them depending on the subject matter, but one of them, his name is Darren Hardy. I got to study under him. I earned my way up into his elite programs. What a treat that was. I got a book from him. It's called Living Your Best Year Ever. It's a black book. It costs about $30 investment. That is my self-accountability and discipline because I've created a new discipline formula. So the people who are smart, who invest in coming to San Diego, I'm going to share that in detail. So I will just drop this on you. It's called PFD. So come to San Diego and I'll explain it in detail. So my self-discipline in this black book is I go through it every week, and I am self-disciplined. It holds myself accountable, and I have an accountability partner most of the time. My most recent one dropped off the grid because the person couldn't keep up with me. So it was kind of a bummer. You know, I want to be the dumbest person in the room. So I'm looking, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, in transparency, so I learned through my experience there to be a goal setter and a goal getter. And that Living Your Best Year Ever is how I sit down. Right, you know, the funny thing is, right after the boot camp, when I get home, that's when I start planning for my next year. Just like I teach everybody else. So I sit down with my Living Your Best Year Ever book, and I start creating the goals. Because it takes me step through step through step through step exactly how to do it. Because, you know, I'm a little distracted, and I want something to follow. So that's how I create my goals. So I have 5 different goal sheets in front of me that I look at. And the first one is family, social, and lifestyle, all those combined into one. And I've got 7 items on there. And the first one says, continue working to Cousins Camp Evolution, set a date. Okay? The next one is personal, mental, spiritual health. I've got 7 items on that. Okay? The next one is SIA, which is Stromsoe Insurance Agency, career. I changed that this year. I don't like it as much as what I had last year, but it doesn't matter. Okay. On that one, I've got 10 items on that. Okay. The next one is UPP, which is Unstoppable Profit Producer, and that's career. And I've got 4 items there that I want to reach this year for that program. And then the last one is economic and contributions, giving back. Giving back to certain facets for all that we've been so successful for. Okay. And number one on that one is take the first step toward a foundation setup that I'm passionate about, that is part of my personal story. So I'm not going to squirrel on that. So those are my topics for my 5 goal sheets. And my encouragement is, if you really read them, don't just read them. Okay. And if you really want to get dialed in, verbalize them out loud. Yeah, it'll take maybe 2 minutes to do that. But at the end of the day, that's how I really get set and what I need to contribute to and what I need to accomplish. And I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I'm back to my goal sheet number 1, family, social, lifestyle. Please know that what I'm going to say doesn't mean that I'm not a caring person, because I believe in being a caring person. But number 3 on my family, social, lifestyle is only schedule time with people who contribute. And so what I mean when I wrote that was, I will give anybody a couple of minutes, but I'm not going to schedule 30 to 60 minutes with somebody unless I feel that I can contribute to their life. And they will turn around and contribute to others, like you guys. Thank you so much for investing all this time in creating this podcast. You guys rock, right? That's what I meant by that. So once I go through my goals, it kind of reels me back into what I need to be thinking about, how I need to be taking action in my hour of power, okay? And then I just let it roll based on my highest priorities. And that PFD that I dropped a couple minutes ago, the P is priorities, okay? So with that being said, once I get through my goals, then I start my day, and I've got my game plan written in front of me in my planner. My plan for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got 10 items on my list today, with the last one being a Caribbean adventure that we're planning in January.
Love it.
So a little bit of fun in there. So anyway, so that's how I got the goal thing going on. Now, the other critical thing.
Wait. So when you're reviewing these goals, right? When you're reviewing these goals in the 5 categories that you've set up, is that to almost through osmosis, just by looking at them and thinking about them, and in some cases verbalizing them, keeping them top of mind on each day of your life? Is that what we're doing?
Yep.
Okay.
Carry on. Top of mind awareness.
Gotcha.
And back to something that I'm not sure if this is before we started or after we started. Something has changed in the last 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that's why it's important to look at them every day. You know,
Right.
I get to interact with so many people inside of our industry and outside of our industry, because the tipping point has come, and I'm so blessed and grateful for that. And the fact that I got a lot of people in our local business community after me. I mean, you know, a longtime friend of mine, my dentist, we have a 25-plus year relationship outside of work as well. And his son is now in business, and he intentionally contacted me and said, Mike, I'm going to put you in touch with Nick because I want you to help mentor Nick. I said, I'm grateful. I'm more than happy to. And honestly, by giving back to Nick, that's where the PFD was born.
Right.
How awesome is that? And
That's
now
incredible.
I get to turn around by giving to him, because he asked me, he said, you know, if we spent like 30-plus minutes together, and he says, all right, I got appointments, I got to go, but I need a takeaway. He said, what should I be doing? And that's where I said, let me think about it a minute, and I came up with PFD. And I shared with him exactly what PFD, and I said, if you will do this 80% of your day, you will be successful. And make sure you keep giving first, right?
By the way, Tipping Point, one of 4 Malcolm Gladwell books I've read, but go ahead.
Yeah. He's a smart man, obviously. So anyway, we're looking at the goals, and that's how we get realigned with what's happened in the last 24 hours. And I see them differently every single day because something has changed.
But when something changes, does that equate to you changing the goal that you have written on that piece of paper?
No.
Okay.
It equates to how I go about achieving it.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm
my
tracking.
actions.
Right.
my actions, my responsibility equals the results.
Right. Okay. I'm tracking.
Right? Yeah. So, I mean, something's happened, and the other takeaway is if you want things to change, we have to change.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to do it for you. Like I said earlier, I have no magic pill. I have no silver bullets.
Right.
Bill put in the work over 4 years. But now he's to the point where he can see the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, and his time is now free. He's earned the right to have the free time doing what he does. And if you ever want a writer-downer for another session, how about the area of people's top 3 personal talents or gifts? That is a complete training session in itself. Thank you for the encouragement there. Let me write that down myself. We need to make sure we cover that at Be Unstoppable Bootcamp.
The area what now?
Aren't you focused? Anyway.
Well, I'm trying.
3 top personal talents or gifts. Okay? Everybody's got 3. Everybody's got 3 things they're passionate about, that they love to do. That if they're operating in one of those 3 things at least 80 to 90% of every day, they're going to get home and they're going to be on fire, and they're going to give their spouse or their family a big hug and they'll say, "How's your day?" You say, "It was off the flipping charts. Great day." That's what happens when you get to operate in the area of your 3 top personal talents and gifts.
Love it.
Every single day. So that's
I'm
why you got to learn
aggressively shaking my head.
Yeah, Bradley's sitting here aggressively shaking his head right now. Yes.
So anyway, so that's another training point. So that's what the goals help us do.
Right.
Okay, it keeps us operating in the areas of our top 3 personal talents or gifts and delegating everything else. You know, I studied under some guy, and I can't remember. Larry Steinmetz, the late Larry Steinmetz, years and years ago. He was a professor from the University of Colorado, and he wrote a book on the art of delegation. But I learned so much from Larry about delegation. In fact, I have a delegation sheet right here, and it's in my hand. It's on a green piece of paper because green is the color of? Thank you. So it's called the next action sheet, and it's got a little P and an underline that's blank, and that's the priority scale. So when somebody comes into my office and they're saying this needs to get done, I hand them a sheet, and I say, well, good, here's this sheet right here. How much of a priority is this? Well, it's really important. We need to get it done today. I said, good, put a 10 next to the P, because it's when a P10, you drop what you're doing and get it done. And it says, what gets written down gets done. So I'm going to ask you, write this all down on this delegation sheet. We'll talk about it, and then you take the sheet with you and go do it. Mm-hmm. It's not that difficult, my friends.
Right.
And I've empowered them to go do it. And now in today's digital world, you might say, Mike, well, I don't see everybody. I said, of course we haven't. So we've digitized it and made it a PDF fillable. Same thought process.
Mm-hmm. So at what point in time, how long are you spending on your goals in the morning?
Thank you for reeling me back in. So anyway.
No, that's okay. No problem.
So anyway, I identify teaching points all day long, and when I look at the world, my whole day I'm just seeing teaching points. So anyway, I want to share with people. So anyway, I've gone through my goals. My goals, it takes just 1 to 2 minutes, and at that point I'm dialed in and focused on my daily tasks that I've written down the night before. Okay, so I start. I circle the top 3, or I highlight them, and those are the 3 things that I'm going to work on right now. Okay, those are my top 3 priorities. Over the years in our program.
No, wait a minute. The top 3 priorities. Did you say those are from your daily task sheet from the night before, or 3 priorities on working on the goals that you set for the year?
Those from the task sheet from the night before.
Okay, got it. All right, keep going.
Yeah, you put it well earlier. Reviewing the goals daily is just TOMA, top of mind awareness.
Got it.
I don't want to forget about where I really want to go.
Right.
And
okay.
I'm not a super airy-fairy law of attraction guy like the movie and all that kind of stuff, but I do believe that everything happens for a reason.
Right.
Okay? So I believe that sooner or later, one of my goals is going to be, this task is directly related to number 4.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Great. So, number goal in my family social lifestyle is explode because I said I would phenomenon. Funny, I wrote that last November, and here we are. Alex is going to be live in 44 days.
Gotcha.
Funny how that happens to work out. And if I go back and look at my goal sheets over the last 4, 5, 6 years, since I started doing this really consistently, It's funny how it's all worked out. I've got goal sheets from the early 2000s, and I go back and look at those from time to time. I wanted to buy an office building. We now own an office building. I wanted to own the business. We now own it. It's debt-free. We wanted to do this. We wanted to do this. We wanted to do this. And it's funny how it happens. Because we said we would, because we committed to it, we made a promise, and we stayed focused on it. Remember, the definition of focus is follow one course until success. Okay? Back to the goals. So once I get down to my goals, I sit up there in my home office. By the way, this thing, you ever heard of, you guys have a cell phone by chance?
Yes, sir.
Got 3 of them right here on the table.
So anyway, they're all turned off. They're still downstairs. I turn it off before I go to bed, and I do not turn it on until I leave the house or until I get ready to turn it on.
I need to implement that.
Yes, you do.
Let me ask you a question. Whose business is it?
It's, well, depending on the agent, it's their business.
Okay, well, fine. But, if you ask me that question, I'd say it's my business.
Right. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my business. It's your business. Who's responsible for your business?
You are.
So we have a fast start checklist when we introduce time blocking and managing time to agents that we work with. Mm-hmm. It's a fast start checklist, and it's got 6 items on it, and we train them to use it because you need the night before to write down the top 6 things you want to encourage the next day. And I don't have one in front of me, and I'm not going to go find it, but it says at the bottom of the sheet something like this. Your inbox is only a place for messages for other people's agendas. Right?
I love that.
So, I mean, it's your business. It's your life. Mm-hmm. It's your time. You choose what to do with it, or you're going to allow somebody to pollute the water, so to speak. It's up to you.
So the power hour, is that your hour to start working on these night before daily tasks that you want to get accomplished?
No. I do them the night before I go to bed.
Okay. But I'm saying you're doing your daily task sheet the night before in terms of writing down what you want to accomplish the next morning.
Correct.
But is the power hour the time to actually accomplish those tasks? Is that what that is?
Some of them.
Okay.
It's rare they all get done, but I definitely do the top 3. The top 3 priorities on that list, I work on them during that time.
Gotcha.
And if I have a meeting or something like that, then maybe I don't get down the road too far, but I still got it written down. Right. And anytime somebody distracts me, if I have to leave for a meeting, as an example, I've still got it right here in front of me. I'm looking at my list for today.
Do you put it on your phone, or do you put it on your phone, or are you writing it on the planner?
It's in the planner.
Okay.
That just works for me. And like we said earlier, believe in yourself and be you. Just find what works for you. Some people, it's the phone. There's apps out there and all that. That's fine. It doesn't matter what you do, just that you do something.
So what time are you leaving the house and I assume heading to the office?
4 days a week, roughly, just because I get distracted working at home too much. Roughly 4 days a week to the office. Normally if I'm in that zone, I don't know, 9:30. Because what I've also trained my team to do is we have a leadership team. We have a brand new leadership program that we've embarked upon, invested heavily in it financially, but it is changing our game in ways that have never happened before. Now, another coin for you, progress comes from pushing into areas of discomfort. The first meeting we had in that arena, oh my gosh, it was painful. But we got through it, the uncomfortableness, and now we're on fire. So our team leaders. So wait
a minute. Progress comes from pushing into areas of the unknown. Is that what you said?
No, discomfort. So give us an example here. What we're talking about in terms of what area of discomfort did you have to push through and get everybody kind of over the hump there? We lost a significant team member.
Gotcha. Okay.
And strategically, we didn't announce it to the entire team because we had to wait for the right moment. And one of our leadership team did not agree. And so we got into a bit of a tiff.
But that could be anything. It could be
ripping the Band-Aid off to go take a step back to take 3 forward.
Right.
But it led to something else which, needed to be dealt with, right?
Yeah, but it could be anything. It could be installing a new CRM system in your agency and everybody's like, this sucks, we hate it. It could be anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, bottom line, what I was going to say is our team leaders have their own agendas, and in the service sector, our leader of our service teams, she has a daily huddle 2 or 3 times a week. Our phones go on at 9. Everybody shows up at 8:30 to 5. And so they have a half an hour, grow time, build time, project time, whatever. And so she has a daily huddle a couple times a week, sometimes 3. And they just, hey, what's going on? What do we need to be working on? What happened yesterday that we need to deal with? And they just powwow real quick, 5-10 minutes max. Right. And I walked in Monday morning with our client who was in town at the house. I came in for the meeting because I don't miss my commitments. It's all about a promise and commitment, right? So he goes, look at that. And they were huddling and this kind of stuff. Well, look, they're doing that. Look, they're doing that. And you're not even here. I said, exactly. Whose business is it?
Absolutely. So when you get there,
let me just drop another bomb. How you guys doing time wise? I know we've got to wrap it up.
Yeah, we do. We got to wrap up in a second. But go ahead.
So I want you to also write this down, please. It's called time blocking. And this will help you in any endeavor with your time. Okay. So one of our leadership people last year said, hey, I've created this for the sales team. I just thought you might like to see it. I'm looking at it. I'm going, OMG. Thank you for sharing. So I took that and put it in my folder.
This is the greatest piece of information I've ever seen. Thank you.
Well, it was a game changer, and I've turned around and given it back to many other people, and I'm going to give it to you today. So what it was a sheet that was created for everybody in the sales team for them to run their day. Because that person's in a leadership position. Listen, this is what you're going to be doing every single day to run your day. You're going to be spending 2 hours following up on letters or, making calls, out at events, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You want to get to goal? You got to do this. It's really that simple. We run the marketing. We make things happen. Your opportunity is sitting there. There's 400 or 500 of them right in front of you. Go get them. All right? So it's called time blocking. And I make every effort to block my time at least 3 weeks in advance. Block the entire day or significant chunks of it. It's all blocked because I've got multiple people that have a link to get an appointment on my calendar anytime they want to. So I've got to make sure that the time that is my time that I'm going to focus on my highest priorities, like we discussed, working in the top 3 areas, working in the 3 top personal talents or gifts of mine that I do well in. I'm going to drop another bomb in a second, but so I'm blocking all that time, and I'll leave chunks open from here to there. But if it's not those chunks, I'm working on the things that I need to be working on.
Right.
Whose business is it?
It's yours.
Yeah, my responsibility. Now, the other thing that was said to me earlier this year, and this was a game changer for me, and I keep repeating it, and I want to make sure I share it with you guys. Somebody said to me, Mike, you need to only be working on the things that only you can do. Game changer.
Yep.
Everything else, we just need to delegate it to somebody else. Let it go. You be the rainmaker.
Sort of goes back to Chris Pratt. He says, you don't want unlicensed people doing licensed work, just like you don't want licensed people doing unlicensed work.
Yep. Push it down to the lowest level. Absolutely. Chris is phenomenal. An amazing dude. So anyway, friend of mine, a good friend of mine. Grateful for it. So, yeah, that's what you want to surround yourself. Great people like you guys and everybody else who's listening to this podcast, et cetera. So, yeah, and delegate the rest. Back to our buddy, the late Larry Steinmetz. Delegate. So, great stuff. So, time block. So if you want to do anything as an action point from this call regarding time, go close your door, shut off those devices, put your phone on D&D, and block your time for, we'll just say the rest of September to start. And make it yours. And work on the things that are going to drive you towards accomplishing your goals. It's really that so much. Simple.
I love that so much. I really do. So, Mike, I've got to wrap this podcast up. We've got to get our next guest on the podcast. Guys, let me say something to the 250,000 insurance agents from around the world that are listening to this. If you didn't get anything out of this podcast today, I don't know what to tell you to do.
Stop listening.
Just go do something else, please. Just go listen to something else. So I mean that. I'm serious. I've taken notes. Bradley can attest to this. I think he may have even shot some video of me taking notes.
I did.
During this podcast. I am a big note taker. Bradley is not, which is fine. Different strokes for different folks. I will probably go back and listen to this podcast, and I am being completely serious when I say this. Probably 3 times, if not 4, when this podcast comes out.
And when I say I'm not a note taker, it doesn't mean I don't value taking notes. It's I do it in an audio format.
Right.
So because we're recording this, I don't have to do it. But like for example, went up and saw Zach and Matt. I just had my phone recording.
Right.
You know, I'm able to do it that way. But
I learned well that way too.
And Mike, you know, I bought your book, man. I was flying to Vancouver, Canada. On the way back from Vancouver, I read it in like 3 hours. And guys, it's not a small book. So it's one of the most tangible pieces of insurance literature you could buy.
Well, you called me and told me it was incredible.
Yeah, I did. And if you don't have Mike's book, get Mike's book. If you're not to the boot camp, go to the boot camp. Listen to his podcast too, Unstoppable Profit Producer Podcast. Right, Mike?
UnstableProfitPodcast.com.
Unstoppable Profit Podcast.
Hey, Mike. Bradley, you're in the middle of talking about the boot camp. Bradley gets his credit card out. I promise this just happened. He gets his credit card out to go ahead and sign up, and I have to mute my microphone and say, hey, don't do that. I don't know if my division manager for commercial can go with me, and if he can't, then you and I can go. So I actually stopped you from getting another insurance agent signed up. But if he doesn't, if my guy can go with me, then I have a sneaky suspicion that Bradley will be joining us as well. So, man, I just appreciate you being on here.
I will warn the hotel.
I love you. Hey, guys, listen to me. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. Insurance agents from around the world, get your ass out from behind that desk and go out and sell some insurance today. Stop sitting there aggressively waiting for the phone to ring behind your desk. Write good business for the agency that you represent. Write good business for the companies that you represent. Bradley Flowers and Mike Stromsoe, I love you guys. Y'all have a great rest of the week. And, guys, you are listening to the Insurance Guys podcast. Take care.
Love you guys, too. You guys rock.
All right. See ya.
All right, man.
Thanks for listening to the Insurance Guys podcast. If you need to know more about me or you need to get in touch with Scott, you can always reach me at theinsuranceguyonline.com or email me at iprotectins@gmail.com. And if you need to get in touch with Mr. Bradley Flowers, go to bradleyflowersinsurance.com or email him at bradley@saralandinsurance.com. Guys, we love you. Thank you so much for listening. We look forward to being with you again real soon on the next episode of The Insurance Guys. Take care.